Let's move now to a developing story, and the Biden administration has just confirmed a diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Beijing Olympics over its human rights abuses, which means that no American officials will be in attendance, although athletes would still compete. Now, at this stage, China is already responding, warning it'll enact countermeasures against the Biden administration. All right, and our senior correspondent Mike Wagenheim now joins us from New York. Good evening, Mike. The last time something like this happened was all the way back in 1980. Relations between the two nations already fragile, to say the very least. Wow, what can we expect this to look like?
While the Biden administration is making a statement that it can no longer, treat this as business as usual when it comes to the Chinese, that this goes above and beyond just diplomatic or political disagreements, military disagreements. This goes to the heart of the Biden administration's platform, its foreign policy platform, which involves putting human rights at the center. If it's not going to make a statement about China's human rights violations on the world's biggest stage, then what does it really matter? So there you go. That's why they're choosing this particular instance to make this particular stance. They didn't want to punish the American athletes who have trained so hard. So this is not a full boycott like it was in the 1980 Summer Olympics in Moscow. It's just a diplomatic boycott. And the Biden administration saying, when it comes to things like genocide, when it comes to things like concentration camps, you just can't let it pass by unnoticed on the world's biggest sporting stage.
Okay, so given that, Mike, China isn't the only nation, the only country to have a shocking human rights record over Uyghurs, etc. Can we expect the US to then use this as sort of like a blanket mechanism to boycott other nations with bad human rights records?
Well, you're talking about an event like the Olympics that gets attention globally. When we're talking about some summit here or some dialogue there, it doesn't get attention. People don't pay attention to those things, so it's not really worth building a message or building a campaign around these individual events that go on around the world, and even smaller sporting events. They're picking their battles here. And this is just an amplification of what we've seen in the past. Don't forget, 1980 wasn't the only example. 2014, Sochi, Russia, President Obama didn't go to that. They didn't call it a boycott. Obama said he didn't want to be a distraction, but it was very notable that in his place and in place of diplomats and officials, they sent two gay Americans to lead the delegation into the Olympics. Why? They were sending a message to President Vladimir Putin about his rights violations against gays in Russia. So this has been done just on a smaller, low-key stage before. This is not something that Biden is going to pick out every country and say, I'm not dealing with you anymore. We're not going to send representatives to any events because of violations. This is the world's biggest stage, and the world's biggest human rights violations, according to the Biden administration, are happening there in China.
Okay, yeah, all well and good, Mike. But, can we really expect this boycott to actually force any change? Or will this just simply continue?
It's not going to force any immediate change, that's for sure. And the Chinese will likely respond with some diplomatic measures of their own. I think the bigger question now is who will join. Australia has talked about it. The UK, Canada has talked about a diplomatic boycott as well. I think that'll be the true test, whether other nations, especially those with a strong economic tie. Keep in mind, America is in a trade war right now with China. You talk about other countries that have more business with China, that's going to be a big decision for them coming up as to which side they take in this particular diplomatic battle.
And what is China actually referring to here, Mike, when it says it will respond with firm countermeasures? What is it talking about?
Well, we hear that a lot at the times from the Chinese about the rhetoric, the hyperbole, where they use very strong language if there's any sort of slight against them, diplomatic, military, economically. There's not a lot they can put on the table here in terms of retaliation that's really going to punish the Americans in any way. They may pull back an ambassador. They may force some diplomatic staff from America to leave China, close a consulate or other mission, what have you. But in terms of strong retaliation, this is not the battle they want to pick. They don't want more of a spotlight shown on what's happening there heading into the Olympics. They want this problem to go away. So while the hyperbole might be there right now, I don't think they want this battle looming as they head into their showcase event.